Meoko Talks.
What's poppin', everybody? Hope you're safe and good. My name is Lorenzo, and I'll be your host for a new podcast series, Meoko Talks, where I'm joined by an amazing member of the dance music community each week, and we talk about their lives, their careers, music, life apart from music, funny stories, and overall we have a very nice, funny chat for an hour. Episodes will be available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts every Wednesday. So if you like to watch it on the go or chilling at home, only audio or with video, hey, there's everything for everyone. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy the content. But before we let you go, we would like to give a massive shout out to all the people that made this possible, from the team to the amazing guests that join us. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it. And if you do, hey, don't forget to show us some love, drop a thumbs up, click the notification bell, subscribe so you don't miss anything. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you like it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. People might see in both of you, like, you know, a promoter, a DJ, but I know you have like a lovely relationship, like for a long time.
Yeah.
How did this come to be? Like, what's Doudou and Nelson's story?
That's like, what is it? How long ago? We told the story just a couple of weeks ago, but we shouldn't.
I mean, I was living in Utrecht, and at some point, via a mutual friend that we both knew, I got into parties where Yogh and Sil were also at that time. From that moment on, I was hooked, so I just kept coming to those parties, and I just kept popping up my head, what to connect and that stuff. And at some point, every week it became a routine to just come to those specific parties that we had in Utrecht. There was another one. There was a certain club where we would always go, and Slapfunk would host their own parties, of course. And at some point it also just became a cultural, communal thing to just come.
Yeah.
You knew the date, you knew the place,
Yeah.
so you would come there, and then friendship grew.
Yeah, that's like, what's it, 15 years ago? Oh no, maybe less, 12.
12.
Yeah, from the beginning on. You were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Would
13,
you say
13 years.
13 years,
Yeah.
yeah.
would you say that like the dance floor is like the best place to like for friendships to begin in this industry? Like to meet people in general?
I'm not sure about the dance floor specifically, but a club gets away boundaries for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's way easier to talk to somebody in a club. On a dance floor, it's not the best place. Like for example, when Doudou is dancing, this is not the moment you want to start a conversation with her. It's not even possible. So I think for certain people,
Will not be appreciated.
a lot of my friends are like this. They're like, shut up, I'm talking when I'm dancing. But like I
It's
think
more like in the smoking area,
Yeah.
or like restaurant, in the house, then we can talk.
But definitely the scene is a place to meet people, especially like-minded people, especially in our industry, which is way more, which is like, I don't want to call it underground anymore, but it's like it's not big like EDM.
Yeah.
The clubs are smaller, so that there's more like-minded people coming to these places. Then it's easier because you probably have a lot in common anyway.
I think it's
I think.
exactly because like you say, like you grow like this communities like from nothing and big, and like of course like there's like huge communities and whatever, but at some point like that's where people that not necessarily share like the same values or like everything in general like start going. And I mean I think that happens to a lot of things at a certain point, but I think it's fun when things have like this sort of identity and like there's kind of like ethos with like just talking about Slapfunk. Like when people talk about something, like it's when you see those videos, like I've never been to a bread. I'm very much looking forward. I don't know if my buddy and myself on Tuesdays looking forward to that, but myself right now, hell yeah.
It pushes everybody through. That's the thing. Everybody thinks they're not ready, and then still like there's so much energy in the bread.
Yeah.
But it's in general in bread. Like the Monday is special. The Monday's parties in general. I think Monday parties in general are special because it's already like cut off a lot of people that partied on the Friday and the Saturday. So that's Monday parties in Berlin or actually everywhere are always like it's the veterans or the people that really want to go to it, and then the energy is always super good because it's like a special place. If you're still there, it creates a sacredity. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's like the last standing warriors, right?
Yeah.
Like that make it to the end in the end. If there's somebody there, right, that doesn't know about Slapfunk, what could you tell them about Slapfunk?
Because I think it's a really good mix of what Amsterdam has to offer in people, and it's multicultural, diverse, and everybody is straight up. It's about the dance floor most. Like that, the party is really a dance floor party. Like the music can shift a bit, but it's always dance floor. Yeah. It's always dance music.
Dancing,
it's never nobody standing.
The energy, the vibration and the energy is high.
Yeah.
So and when you tune into that, then you just enjoy for hours, for as long as you're there, and you don't want to leave. And I don't know,
My thing is about like what we and Samuel Deep mostly think about. Like we've been working with the same crew for a long time, and also the same people have been coming for a long time. So it's really a community, and we never do that big crowd. So I have this idea about like when there's the first 5 rows of your dance floor is friends of you that want to give you all the best. They give an energy off that automatically comes in the rest of the crowd. So it's always like
around.
So that way it always keeps a family vibe, but also new people are like easily taken on in that stuff. So that way you create like a family vibe always, and then people.
Yeah, because there's a certain crew of people or certain figures of people that come from out of Utrecht. And they've been coming to Slapfunk parties since day one, and they are also our friends who we have our birthday barbecues with. Yeah. And you might not know who they are, but they will be there, and that's already a part of the vibe. Like there's already standardly a certain crowd of people that's always there. So that already creates a certain energy, like no matter what, no matter who's playing or no matter where it is. You already have a bunch of people that's already there, and that's for years already.
Yeah. So to say that, but the funny thing is like now we do a lot of parties outside. A lot of people have been to the bread or whatever. Then we do a party like for example Africa Fossil or Underground Brothers. Also, then they already know kind of what to expect, and it's also the music. The music makes you dance, and it's different than it's becoming a genre sort of. Like in this way, because the DJs like separately play all different things, but when they play for Slapfunk, they play these parts of their records always. That gives it that keeps that energy high, and I think that makes it special, and people want to be part of that thing. It always feels special though.
So as you know, as a DJ, talking about this interview, like how does it feel when you're in the booth? 'Cause like that's something like I'll never experience, for example, right? But you experience it like waking in, waking out. How does it feel like when you're there and like, you know, like say we're on a bread like at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. or midday and like you're about to play records. Like,
Yeah.
how's like the feeling at that moment?
That was the first time though. I think I never asked.
Oh, the first time?
I think the Eastern one is the best example for that one.
Which was because that weekend was a big weekend with a lot of shows before.
Yeah.
And I had to play that Brett before that Easter show. And then on the Easter, I remember very well that I didn't really prepare specifically a folder or something in my mind. I just, came there. I had the records with me that I collected at home that I felt that's what I'm gonna bring. But also like USB wise, there was not like a, like a little folder for this night or something. And I remember when I had to start that I actually got pretty nervous about that. But I was like, shit, I actually
should have prepared.
I should have prepared. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, okay. And then, I can remember when because I at some point I was scrolling and I was like, and smiling, right? Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And at some point I remember when I hit this Paranoid London, Paris Club 1, that I actually kind of didn't even know I had on my stick, and I just scrolled past it and I was like,
oh, that's it.
Yes. And I literally didn't even remember that I had that on my stick in the first place. And I played that, and that was such a a freestyle moment, and it was perfect in that moment. And from that moment on, I also was like, okay, I can do this, And then from I don't know, I love this when a freestyling session comes together and it works out well. And then it's just you go with the vibe, because it's a combination of what's happening on the dance floor, about what's happening within inside of you, and what you're seeing on your screen and what's going on in your record bag. And then I don't know, sometimes you just pass something and you just go for something. Also sometimes I have something in my hand that I don't know what it is, but the fact that I have it in my hand and I'm questioning myself, what is this? I just go for that. I'll sometimes also just go like that.
So like you're going through like the record bag and then you're like,
yeah. The fact that my hand goes there
like
and stops there, just goes like, fuck it.
But then you're also really comfortable at your back though.
Yeah.
That's it. So you pick your back right.
Yeah, exactly. But I know my records really well because I listen to them a lot from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Also in daytime and stuff. And with a lot of records for the last 10 years, I really have a deep relationship with it because I've been mostly, DJing and playing with my music for myself in the last few years because I wasn't really out there DJing.
Yeah.
So many records I've been head bumping to in my living room or in my bedroom by myself, So I know them, I know them in a certain way, and I can, play with the trust of that.
Because, like you said, people sort of sometimes feel like, oh, who's this girl, Doudou, like she's doing great, and they go like, so she popped like in 2021, 2020, and like now, like it's all of a sudden, and it's not like all of a sudden, like like you say, you've been listening to the records like for a while.
Yeah.
So like
we're playing them for ages.
Exactly. Just not
out there.
Just not
people.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Not for people. It was just me in my bedroom for a long time.
I had to drag her out of the bedroom, put her behind the boot. Look at her now. So in the end, it worked.
Was Slapfunk the first party you played at?
I used to play in Utrecht back in the day.
Yeah,
it was 2013 already. 2012, 2013 I had gigs already, and Hall 6 in Utrecht.
Oh yeah, of course. Donker stuff as well.
Studio 80 also already around that time. But just when they got picked up, I literally remember that I got bookings coming in, but I was studying music management on the School of the Arts.
Oh, fair.
And I went for an internship to Berlin, so I had to leave all my stuff behind and just go with a little suitcase to Berlin to do an internship because I was still studying. So I had to leave all my records and my record players and all that thing of DJing that I was just getting started with. I had to leave that behind and do the internship, and then I fell into this bubble of Berlin, of course, and just went into the internship and working in a bar and being a student and going to Bergen and Panorama Bar every weekend. But
Also studying.
Also studying. Exactly. But this is when the shift came that I kind of left the DJ thing that I had just started behind to be in Berlin, and then I started this life in Berlin and met all these new people. And I wasn't like, hey, I'm Elena, and I'm also a DJ, you know? And I wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So, and then I just I stayed in Berlin, and I moved there eventually and continued my life there. And in the end, it became 5 years that I was there. And I, of course, went back and forth back to Holland, and I saw my friends here. And everybody in Holland knew that I had been DJing or that I was DJing. But in Berlin, it wasn't really known, or I wasn't really, you know?
It's like a closed circle over there. I've never been there. But like, when you go over there, like, is it like a close circle of people, or like, do they receive you good into like the community?
I think it's harder actually. The people are a bit harder.
Yeah, I think so.
But
I think so.
in the end, it's also who you are as a person.
It depends a little bit on your. Well, you mean as in general or as an artist, as a DJ?
As an artist, like as a DJ,
Okay.
like not like
Okay.
like.
For me, it's hard to say because I haven't even been trying. In
Okay.
Berlin, I hadn't even been like, oh, I'm a DJ, so let me play. Or I wasn't. I knew, and that's also over the years in Berlin. At some point, I felt that urge in my body. Like, if I wanna pursue this, if I wanna go on with this, I have to do it in Amsterdam. I have to be in Amsterdam because there's my people, there's my scene, and there's also the people with who I can do it with, and who can help me push forward. So
I have also the feeling in Berlin there's so many DJs. The scene is way bigger, but there's also it's way more scattered around. So like in Amsterdam, if you're with the right crews and you're in the right spots, it goes faster than in Bergen. Over Berlin, it can take super long time because there's so many clubs, so many people, like different sounds and whatever. So I think it might be easier here to do, but I don't too bad picked up. I think.
Yeah, but it's like. The crazy thing about Berlin, and people talk about Berlin a lot, and obviously like there's a lot of history in that city, and how kind of techno dies in the US and goes there, and like it becomes super popular over there. Yeah. And it's like sort of a hub for DJs, like you're saying. But at the same time, like it really doesn't promote itself. Like cities like Amsterdam or like London do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
it used to be all about Berlin back in the days, but like when I started, like what you say, 2013, 2014. I only wanted to do parties in Berlin, and we did the Slapfunk, we did Berlin like the last time I can even remember, but we used to do it like a lot, and then at a certain point now I don't know if they think that we are turned more commercial or whatever, because I don't think we changed anything, but just Berlin is just a bit off the radar. I love to go there still, I have a lot of friends, I love to go clubbing there, but just doing the parties there it's not a priority, or like London or...
That certain clubs just have literally...
And they vanished, that's also a thing.
Certain venues are not there anymore, and the culture has shrunken a little bit in terms of its immensity that it had, and I mean it had years of heydays, and at some point there's always there's always a shift, and you can't always go like this.
I think they don't mind, like the Berlin people themselves, they like it to like be a bit more under the radar than be that. I think that's also
it's never been about promotional or about coming out and being really like out there and marketing.
That's the thing that I loved about it. Like some clubs, there's 30 people and they still stay open the whole day.
Yeah.
With 30 people, that's impossible here. If it's every club owner
There's
here
so many
will close you down as soon as the bar goes down. They close the venue at the night, even if it's an hour before. It's possible.
And that's what I loved always about Berlin.
Yeah, it's not about making money. That's really inspiring.
It's not about making money. It's about the experience, the culture, and about the music, and not about making money.
No, and it's like in this day and age as well. Like I think like it's for more. It's crazy, right? But like for more than this sort of like underground, because I mean we're still underground if we look like into like the macro spectrum, but like micro within dance music, like there's sort of styles, like you said, like this blend of styles popping a lot. And yet it's still like tough to make money out of the party, like for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think that happens now in this day and age? Where it's like this scene growing a lot. Like, do you think it's like the competition? Because like for me, I think sometimes there's a there's a lot of artists that are amazing, but sometimes like lineups for certain parties like might get repeated too much, if that makes sense. Or like different parties book like the same lineups, like just like with a different name, instead of like doing different combinations and see like how it works.
Yeah, no, it's easy to like. I think it's the thing of like, you know, why change the winning formula. That's one thing, and I think it's also after Corona a lot of new promoters came up, so they look at the new names and they are all new, so they all want to have the new names. They become all the same, or they copy the lineups from parties that were already going, because that is where their view is at the moment. I think that's and also like in a couple of years, these people will grow and they see a bigger spectrum of what they can do. But I think most of the problem is with making art proper money here is that because all the clubs have shitty deals.
Like, fair enough.
That's the most thing. Like you never get a cut on the drinks. It's always just the door, and then from the door you have to pay everything.
Yeah.
And then like the artist prices go up as the artists go, but you cannot. You don't want to do like what you said, like Miami. You don't want to do $250 ticket prices or whatever. That doesn't fit in a city. So that's Amsterdam. Like I think the 30, but we are now from Slapfunk sometimes for a low pipe for a whole day. It's a fair price, but it's a lot compared to what we started with, also with 15 euros. So but it's also so that things grow. You also book bigger artists and artists that more, but you still get almost the same revenue, like in the end.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know, like you make more money, but your costs increase.
Yeah, your costs also increase. Now you have people. We have people we pay. You know, we used to do all of our own, but now we have a marketing guy and content guy. So that in the end it's the same.
Yeah.
An office or whatever.
You just mentioned something that's very interesting to me, which is like the new promoters coming up and seeing like the new guys. And at some point you were a new promoter as well.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say are like the challenges of that, or like what would you tell new promoters, like, you know, like for example, like not a guy but like mistakes, like, you know, things to be aware of, or like things that like could lead them like to a successful party? Because like this one, like Slapfunk is like very fucking successful. Like I mean, that like the buzz about ADE this year is Slapfunk and DJing.
Yeah.
Like literally like those are the two parties that I'm 100% sure have no problem with ticket sales. Because for the rest, like, you have so much to choose.
Yeah, there's a couple more, like I know artists doing well, people doing well. But in the sound, the picnics are also doing well. I think the sound is in general, like to bring it from house, minimal tech house, just to do bond it in one thing. It's really popular now. Like you said, the disco days, techno is always there thriving. So techno is a certain crowd that will always go well. But the thing that mostly you see these parties that are going well are also parties that have been doing it for a long time. Yeah. And that's also with most artists. There's not many artists in their early 20s are really that big, except for the tech house thing, the way the Martinez brothers go, for example. So I think the main thing in the scene is endurance, like longevity. You have to keep doing what you love and keep your head down and do what you believe in.
Stay real.
Yeah. And stay humble, and I think that way is the way to grow. If you like believe in yourself and just do it, it's just easy. But especially in the scene, everybody that does that for a long time, still around, either get a second chance or they come back again. But it's always like if you keep buying the records, keep putting your energy, and you manifest it yourself, I guess. Yeah. And that is with the parties. That's why I've always had people say to me like, I want to do parties. I said, don't do it. Like it's not that. It's more like it's fun, but it takes a really long time to get really fun, and it's really stressful. And you're gonna lose. The chance that you lose a lot of money is bigger than if you make a lot of money. Because like that's also the thing. Like if you lose, you can lose really hard, and if you win, you can like with club parties stuff, you can't win that big and stuff. So you really have to love doing it. If you do it for the money, then do something else. I think. I feel like in this scene though, like if of course you can go big and tech house or more tech house and stuff, there is more money to be made though.
And you do, but I feel like for example, like just in my experience, right, this is no criticism to any DJ, but when you go to like this kind of like more tech house parties and whatever, I don't know if it's an effect of just being more mainstream, and mainstream doesn't mean commercial necessarily. It just means that people are just way more aware of who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, nicely said, nicely put.
I feel like they just, you know, like kind of loses like that, you know, like that identity it has, you know, because like there's a lot of people that just only go there and just want to be like at the booth and like be there recording the videos. Yeah. And I think it's fun recording videos, like, you know, myself, you know, working for Meoko, like I go to the booth, record the videos, but
only you want to make videos. That's what. Yeah. That's
No.
That's what you said.
No, but like, you know, like some points, you know, like I'm with the phone and like I'm literally like this, and then like inside I'm like I don't want to go and dance, but like, you know, like you can't. But then I see a lot of people that don't even want to dance at the point, and they're just there like.
No, it's about being there. That's the thing. I think that's a bit of thing from the Ibiza culture, but also maybe the Miami culture thing. I don't know. That's a good thing. Like, and that's probably the thing that Berlin hates most about this place. That's not there. It's not. There's no cameras, even on the house parties.
Yeah.
And also in Amsterdam, I think the commercial thing, it's there, but there is when the big parties come over here. But in general, in the clubs, it's not really like that.
But you know, as a DJ and as a promoter, what is your take like on the no phones policy? Because I'm pretty sure it has a good side and a downside too.
I love it. I can give a good example. I work for Lo-Fi, and we're starting as a club, and we have a big queer community on the Sunday, where you want to protect us. These people. This is a safe space for them, and also you want to be part of that. So you have to play by the rules, which I think that are good rules. But also you're a new club, so you also need to let people know what you have to offer. Because you also want to grow. So then it's like you're in it's a two-way thing where you have to think about. So like that maybe you have to start one person that does all the videos, so you at least have some videos, because it's cool to show. You have to build a beautiful place that you want to show to the world.
Exactly.
But I think in this community there's also people are not filming that much. It's more about dance floor, techno in general. It's more about being on the dance floor on your own in your zone. So I think that's also a part of the more housey scene. It's more about how you look and being with the phones. But for me, like in the breath, I hate it all because everybody puts on the camera. That people filming cameras of cameras, you know, that's like doesn't make sense. You also for yourself, you see it doesn't make sense to film somebody else's telephone, right? That doesn't make that like why would you do that?
Have you ever been to Printworks?
Yes, yeah, well, yeah.
That's Printworks, usually. Like, it's
All the phones.
all the phones over there.
Also the videos of the club. It doesn't matter from which side. You only see phones. So I find that really annoying.
Yeah.
You know, and I also try to leave that. I try to have like a good camera guy who does all the shots and then make the club as dark as possible so you don't really see anything.
Fair.
And like that.
And you, Doudou? What's your take on that? On like the no phones or like phone policy?
I mean, I think it's a tricky one because I think it's nice to content in the end. It's
like
nowadays
It's
a part, you know. Nowadays it's a part
selling.
with the Instagram and the content and all that stuff. For me, also it can also be nice, especially as a little bit more, let's say, upcoming artist, to be able to see myself back and to see things that went down, especially in the beginning when I was, for example, very nervous at certain gigs. You know, it really flashes by. Yeah. And then later, when you're more back to the ground again and you can see some stuff back, that's actually really nice. Yeah. So I like that part. What's just most annoying is when people try to make a film or a photo and it flashes on.
The flash. I think there should be a no flash policy for sure.
Yeah.
My God, like.
But sometimes people don't do it on purpose, but but it's really annoying if they do it and it's dark and they don't notice that it's on.
But what I found most annoying, and this I saw mostly on Ibiza, is that people filming with flash, filming each other, like dancing, you know? On the like it's not it, but then it's just all of a sudden it's this light next to you, and there's people then fuck off and just. But this doesn't make sense to me though. But what I found out as well, when the party is properly in the beginning, there is some video making. When the party is really on for a shelter or a breath, when it's on at a certain point, everybody forgets. So that's also your mission as an artist and a promoter. Forget about using their phone. So I think that's also a thing. Like when breath is popping off, there's almost no content of that moment because everybody's just in it, you know.
Yeah. We always have to force each other. Somebody has to film.
Phone is dead. Phone is dead.
I don't wanna.
I know we was.
So I mean, it's that phone policy. Like for us, for example, for the first party we did like a Mario Bros castle because like the idea that we have is sort of like trying to create what Yogh did and have like this experience. Like Cappuccino when you're in the garden and like you see like the flowers and like all the LEDs, like it just gets you in there, like you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love it how they did it. There is a no phone policy. It's everywhere. It's communicated, but it's still allowed. You're not gonna get thrown out, but you're so aware of that you're a dick with your phone because it's everywhere. So I think that way of awareness works pretty well actually.
Yeah.
And I think like anyone who's going to the parties, like listen to what they just said. Like it's your mission as a promoter and as a DJ to make people like don't want to record or just be like prefer to dance and enjoy the moment and have it here than have it here. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And It's this is now, you know, like I said back in the day, like this wasn't like superstardom, like being in like right now, you know, being a DJ is like being a superstar, like being a promoter with a hot party as well. Like, you know, there's a lot of people who are aware of who you are. Like, you know, when you're into a room, like, you know, they're aware like, oh, no, like that's Nelson and that's not, oh, like shit, that's Doudou, like, you know what I mean? And I think it's a natural process that like at some point like this part is like, hopefully you're gonna get bigger, like, you know, hopefully as well we'll still have like small parties, but I think it's better as well, like the more people that come into it, like I think it's better for all of us. But then you also have to like sort of balance as well, like how much people and which people you want in the parties.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because of course this industry, and what I love about it is everyone is like well received, no matter how you look, where you're from, what's your name, height, weight, like you're always welcome. I feel like yes, in the tech house environment and that, if you don't have off-white sneakers and like a Palm Angels t-shirt, like, you know, you kind of feel odd and not in the equation.
But that's what I love about Slapfunk personally. Like it's a mix of everything. It's like the off-white Louis Vuitton and next to the, you know, the Uniqlo or whatever, just people that come for the music. That's what I love about it. We are also as a group that we are all parts of them. You know, so that's. Makes sense to see a really like how you say a reflection of the group you are on the dance floor. I think that's real. That makes it real. That's what you're doing.
And, you know, even if there's not a flash, when you're playing, right? Like I've seen you play, like you're very energetic, like dancing and constantly moving. Like, how do you feel like when you know, like you're there and then all of a sudden you turn around and there's like a lot of cameras like this, like in front of you? Like, does it feel weird? Like when you're playing and then like not in the crowd, but like, you know, at the sides or at the back?
No, well, I have to say, I didn't really had this moment yet, where I was like, oh, this is really weird or really intimidating. Too many phones.
Yeah.
There's been moments where the flash was on, you know, and then I would put up my hand like this, also for the person to know, like, hey,
turn off the music.
Do you know? Do you know that the flash is on?
Yeah.
But I mean, no, I don't per se get uncomfortable or something. I don't know, I'm trying to think.
But also, it's also like, for example, like remember in the beginning you always had some time to chill before you can go in the crowd, and I think especially as a woman, there is more men coming to you than there is women coming to men DJs, or men in general go faster to a DJ to get a picture or whatever. Yeah. But I think like it's okay how it goes, especially for after still not a picture. People want on a picture, but it was like they're nice. It's a nice way to ask. And like Jamie Jones told me at that party we met actually at Sonar, he told me one super beautiful thing about it, because I was talking with him and all the British that are around came and he want to have constantly on a picture, because, you know, because he is a big artist. And I asked him like, don't you ever get annoyed of this? And he said to me like, it's a small price I pay for doing what I love. And I find that is I put that in my mind. I tell that all artists, like, you never do this, you know, no fun. Of course there's moments you don't want it, but then
but it's also those people, the people that, you know, love what you do and come to you to listen to your music, or, you know, really dig you, that appreciation and love that you give back also. So if that, you know, if a bunch of people come and they want a picture, they want to talk or whatsoever, it's their way of showing their love and appreciation, and you give it in return.
What do you like more, when somebody comes and talks to you and like, talks to you about like what you just played and like lets you know how they felt, or when they go straight up for a photo? Like if they're like, yo, can I get a photo? Like for you, like what do you like the most between those two?
I mean, I would love to hear what you have been feeling and experiencing on the dance floor during my set. Yeah. I mean, if something really specific happened or something emotional, that's the stuff I'm interested in. Yeah. But yeah, hey, if you want that picture,
also fine. FaceTime.
So, you know, like you both like have experienced a lot of, you know, different types of fans, different crowds. What would you say, like, for any fan that's out there, like, what are like 3 things to take into consideration when you're approaching a DJ for a photo or to talk whatsoever?
Just don't be too aggressive.
Polite.
Yeah, ask it politely.
That's it. I think that's the only thing.
And also a little bit in vibe check. Like if you need some some feel to see that maybe the artist is in a deep conversation.
Yeah, that's the thing that's the most annoying thing that happens. Then we're talking, and then people come like, "Can I have a picture?" You see that people are talking. Like it's the same ethics that works everywhere. Works also for DJs, I think. And then you get like annoyed, and then it's the vibe killer, I think. Though.
Yeah.
I do remember like when I saw it in Slapfunk, I was like, okay, so that's not so cool. Like I want to see how I approach. And like every 5 minutes, like when there's like this little moles that go like all over the place, and you were talking and they're like over there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I think you started rolling like a cigarette, and I was like, okay, now's the time. But I think like, to be honest, like, it's something that I learned as well. Like,
to catch the right moment to.
Exactly. So for people like, well, look, at the beginning, when you're not used to it, and like, especially if you want to get into this industry, it's a little bit frightening, because like, you really don't know if you're gonna meet a cunt or not, and you really don't know if people are there for partying or not for partying, if they're working. Like, you really don't know what's going on in their heads. Especially like with DJs at the beginning, like, you see them so energetic and you feel like they're ready to talk and like, yo, you smash it. But then you realize like most of them are like to cool down a little bit after the set and like kind of process what just happened, and then it's like, boom, when you see them pop up again in the booth or in the crowd, like that's when you go like kind of go.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, for any beginner, it's knowing like how to approach in the time, and then definitely be polite. Like 100%.
Yeah, and definitely not directly after the set. Like me, for example, now I'm getting better and better at it. But in the beginning, like I went preferably straight out of the booth and like in the corner of the backstage, or even to the toilet by myself to just zone out for a sec. Just for a sec, zone out, scroll my phone and have nothing. Like it's just me. To to land a bit, and then open the door and be like, okay, go back to the But that's me personally. I don't know how it is for other people, but especially just after you finish, you still need to land a bit, because you were just in this zone, where you were in a vibe, and with music, frequencies, emotions, and space and people, and then you have to just first land back to your feet again. Yeah, and then you can talk.
And for you, it's more like, there's sometimes that like you finish a party and then you're going on to the next one because you have another party coming up or whatever. Like, for you, like when a party's done, like, do you take a time to cool down or like to process what just happened, or like you already got used to it? It's like,
it depends. Like, for example, for.
Yeah. If you want to go, you can go on the phone.
Wait a minute, your phone.
Your phone.
No, I have to say, like, for example, Shelter can be really hot and intense, and then you go up to the loft, and I really like to take an hour off before I pop up again, because during the party, I can never sit still or whatever. I'm always like that. Also, it's also my way of escaping conversations that I don't want to do. Like, it's always people wanting something from you, like somehow, and it's like, I love what I do, but sometimes it gets really intense, especially when a party's sold out for a bread on Monday. Everybody wants a piece of you, and then I want more tickets, but then it's really annoying at a certain point. And people, I understand, everybody's high, everybody wants to get in, but then after like something like that, I need to go home first, chill
and chill out.
A bit like with my crew, with my family, I can chill, but never go. Not anymore directly to an after party. When I'm partying, I can go pop parties, like then it doesn't matter. But after party is nice to just chill a bit. I love the side of a club that's just been torn down by the crowd. Like all the cans, everything. I love that side. That always gives like some kind of peace to mind or something.
Yeah, I love it. Like when we did the party with Sheriff and John, like at the end, like it was the first party we did. So there's one part that's really fucking annoying. Like when we saw everything at the end, like the four of us just sat down and we're like, we're gonna lose money. We're gonna lose money. But we looked at each other and we're like, we've fought a lot throughout this process. Like we've had arguments, we've almost cried, and see how the fuck we get people in. And you know what? It's all fucking worth it. Like we're just looking at what we did, and like people coming over like to take everything out, like all the structures, and we're like,
I like that.
It was like this could be addictive.
Yeah.
Like
I like it, especially when, like, for example, a good friend of mine does Awakening and stuff, like that side of the empty festival side after like a 50,000 people festival. That is, that has something special, especially if you made it like for him, it must be so special to look at a place where just like an hour ago were 50,000 people.
Yeah.
That side, I like that. I think that's art. You can make like a nice magazine of that. like of empty dance floors after a party.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I'm actually gonna. You know what I think would be a shout as well, like the before and after of the dance floor, but also like a disposable album photos. Like just have someone with a disposable camera popping in and taking, you know, photos from parties are cool when they're dancing and it smiles. But sometimes you know you just want to say like, for example, like say like you play now Doudou and like you fucking smash it and like there's like an emotional moment. Sure, not filming it, but like you know like if you capture that like little shot with like this little vintage style and it's like a nice hug or whatever. Like I think those are the things like when you see them from the camera, like it transmits you an emotion, you know.
Yeah, we have a guy always making analog pictures now on all the parties, walking around. That's it. It's also to keep. We also had a big collection of this, like after parties after 10 years.
Have you had any moment that like you got like you might want to talk about that you got like very emotional after a party that you can remember like the emotions vividly?
Oh yeah, I have one. The first one popping up directly, like was with working at Lo-Fi. We had this weird, like I think it's 2021. We had this one weekend we were allowed to open, and it was supposed to be open then with the vaccine. I don't know if it was with the vaccine or something, but trying to get everything with vaccine as soon as possible. But it was we were open at least a day, and Carissa was playing this floor plan track. And like she played it, and I was talking with Kartini, a girl that works for us, and everybody was tears in the eyes. It was so beautiful. Like everybody, I still get goosebumps from that moment. Like, but the sun was going down, the lights in, and was instantly that was a moment that like everybody realized we missed this so much. You know, we love this scene. This is what we want to do. That was proper. Everybody was okay to have tears in your eyes. Everybody was not even hiding it. It was more like full on tears in your eyes. It was beautiful, man. That was amazing.
For you, Doudou, like, is there any moment that like you can remember like a lot of emotions flowing through you, like at any party? And it doesn't have to be you playing, by the way. It can just be like going as a raver, as a DJ.
Now it's hard for me to choose because I have many experiences, emotions, but I'm going back to Berlin then in my head. Yeah.
Okay.
There's been a couple of Bergheim closings, Panorama Bar sessions, and also I have to say there was this one party, you were there too, Return in Wilde with Ricardo playing back-to-back Richards.
Oh, that back-to-back is.
Floor and the hours and the lights. They have these lights there in the floor and the floor with that. I don't know. That was a really sick experience. But and also what I will never ever forget was Boris closing Bergheim.
Boris,
the resident of Osgood, and it was already Monday morning, and there were just only a few hundred people. The crowd was really empty, so to say. And at some point, he went really dubby and grimy in his music, and then all of a sudden he lifted it up and he started playing a garage track, like a UK garage.
That's right, yeah.
But then on a speeded up tempo, and all the sounds, all the elements of this track just went humming,
echoing
through the building, and there was another dimension that was real sick.
You know, that's like the happy side of things, and that's like, you know, what people sometimes tend to see. Okay, go for it.
Question on it. You can do a whole interview with this one.
No, because I remember we spoke about it also the other day. Because someone in Ibiza asked us, we wanted to like I don't know when everything started really hitting off or lifting off or whatsoever. Because a lot of people talk about the bread, right, from this year, from the Easter session. But just before we did bread in April, we had a session that we first did loft upstairs and then shelter downstairs in March.
Oh, the other way around,
Yeah, the other way around. We started during the day upstairs in loft, and then we went downstairs, because usually we do it the other way around. We started in the night shelter, and then you go up for the after party in loft.
Yeah.
So we did the other way around. And then I played. I had to open the shelter, so I took over from what was already going on up and bring it down. And that was already a really nice set and all that stuff. But when I was finished, I went on the dance floor, and what I saw there on our own party, like the vibe and how people were
That was a really good party though.
And interacting with each other. And I saw queers, and I saw Latinos, I saw blacks, I saw whites, I saw everybody.
Felt like a New York house.
Whoa.
That was good. That's a good party though.
Yeah, that was really so. Like,
favorite shelter I think
yeah,
ever.
a lot of people talk about the bread and
Yeah.
Easter, which is of course legendary, but this shelter night to me was.
But this year, every party, every club has had one, the best one. Like the best, there was the best shelter, there was the best bread,
Yeah.
the best lo-fi.
Yeah.
So that's the only tension I feel now for ADE. Is it gonna top them or gonna like
I
get
think
underneath?
it's it's different, you know, because
Yeah.
this time there's gonna be so much people from like
Yeah,
so
that's
many
true.
different parties. Like securities are gonna have a very fun time throughout AD.
I mean,
Like all the security guys at the door, like they're gonna have a very fun time with. Do you know who I am? Where do I sell tickets? I'm doing press, and you know, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, the name dropping is just ridiculous during ADE. But-
in general. And like for me, the funniest thing is like, to be honest, like I'm no one. Like right now, I'm just learning a lot. I'm just in like this learning curve. Of course, with the parties, I'm doing them. Like there's no boss, but like I'm learning as well how to do them, and you know, you make mistakes and whatnot. But like the people that you see like super entitled in parties and booths are not people that like actually do something like for the industry. If that makes sense. It's usually like friends of friends. And like groupies that like you're not gonna fucking move them from the booth like or where they are. There's no way.
yeah.
So like, how do you deal with that? For example, like in a party, like when you have someone like this at the booth and you're like, you know, how the fuck am I polite enough to tell you like, fuck off?
Get a really good stage manager that doesn't have to be polite. That's the best way. That's the best way. Like the people that we worked with for Zach or Katina, whatever, they are super nice until they're not nice.
But they will also
Yeah. And that's also sometimes.
and it's always a good argument to say like, hey, the booth needs space. We need to clear out the booth. I sometimes say
That's never a discussion actually though.
no, we need to clear out the booth.
We said that in the party in Lima. People were like, how are you gonna take us out of the booth? And I was like, bro, you realize like there's records here. Like I need to clean everything.
Yeah.
And there's like, you know, there's John. Like I want to give him some time on his own before to get into like in the booth, and then I'll bring people over. And then everybody outside was like, you know, when we kind of switch turns, I always choose stage management because I can always get like, you know, like when you see football, right? You're in the crowd or you're like in the box, right?
Yeah.
The crowd is gonna be like amazing always, but sometimes it's nice to have like that privilege with the box because you get to appreciate more like a lot like the music itself, like you're
You're
know, like,
in it. You know.
exactly,
You
like
can
they're-
also see the DJ play and everything.
Exactly. And well, there's always a person with the phone like trying to zoom into the records or like the like the CDJs. But yeah, it's like, you know, people sometimes don't, and I will never get tired of saying this. Like people sometimes don't understand that having a uniform or a pass is not being a cunt. It's just trying to do the right thing so that you'll have.
But we mostly ask artists before they play, like, do you want to put empty or not? Like, you always empty it first, and then at a certain point it always gets filled again. But also because of the lack of space sometimes.
Yeah, dude. In Fabric this weekend, there was like Doudou, like super last minute replacement for Ricardo, and Margaret was playing before, and you know I was lucky enough to be in the booth, and of course seeing Margaret does what she does, I was like, fuck my life, you know, like 6 tracks at the same time, not playing, but like putting them back and forth, and so calm, staying open the whole time. I was like, this is insane, like, you know what I mean? Like just the amount of concentration and how much he's in tune with everything. Like it's, you know, like it's crazy because like you were saying, like sometimes people think that going and playing records is just doing that, but like, you know, you're experiencing so much.
But that's also because these people play for so long. They are the thing is like for the new crowd might sign like 2 records or something, but like if you listen closely, especially to this kind of artists, they work magic. You know, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
For the artists that you select to play at your parties, what is it that you look for? Like really look for? And it, like what?
Delivering.
Of course.
I was saying, it's always like this, you know, there's this trust, like with certain artists you just know that they will deliver. And with certain artists it's still a question if they will deliver.
Yeah, it depends. Like if for Slapfunk we look for a Slapfunk sound, but that now it's known that people also like to do that sound because a lot of people maybe not play that, like I said before, so they like to play that records on Slapfunk. A good example for Antia, for example, she would play the first time she played, it was like, oh, and the second that she played a week later, that's so nice. But oh, now I understand. And then she was like, you played it the way she said. I like the first set as well, like, but you know, it was super cool that her changed her perspective a bit because she was the first time playing there. But for lo-fi, for example, yeah, you just look to artists also. Like Slapfunk keeps it a bit narrow-minded. But for lo-fi, what I loved is that you can also book artists that that just do their thing. I like to let the artists do their thing. That's,
So for example, what's one booking that like you were maybe like, is this gonna work or not, and then in the end it goes like boom, like it did work a lot, and you were like, it was like a nice surprise for you.
I have to think about that. I was with this guy, Jens Interceptor, I think it was. Jens Interceptor. It was this pretty crazy electro, but also trap, garage, everything like, and that was sick. I didn't know the guy. I listened to some music. I was like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work. It was at Lo-Fi but he killed it. It was sick. It was really an inspiring set because it was so many different genres in one. But the rest, most of the time I know what to expect. Like,
I think that's what like these sort of parties are are amazing. Like DJs like yourself, like your good friend Teeny, and those people. Like, it's not one style they're gonna play for the whole night. Like it's there's gonna be a story. Where sometimes I feel like also because of how big the other part of the industry is, people just go into it without thinking, I want to make art. I just want to pop off quickly, and like they sort of think like, like as new artists, like, and you kind of feel like some lineups just end up being more of the same. Like, this is not me shitting on Elro whatsoever, but the last parties I've been to, like, the music just feels the same every fucking set. And of course, until the headliner, being a Loco Dice, being the Martinez Brothers, Caprati, being Enzo, like, you can tell, like, they're on another level for that type of music. Cause they've been doing it for a while, and, like, all of them, if they wanted to play records, I'm pretty sure they can play records and play fucking amazing music. Like, they've been doing this for a while. But, like, it's true. Like, I feel like with this, up-and-coming kids right now, like, they just kind of see this formula for success, and they just want superstardom quickly instead of hustling it up, like building your community, like going through it organically, like, you know what I mean? And I think, like, there's a downside, there's an upside to it, but I feel like it's really exciting times in general, like, for this industry. Like, it's possible. It's a lot is possible, and what I always love when I speak with people like you is, like, everybody says, like, hustle it up and believe in what you do. Like, if you really believe in what you do,
stay to yourself, and you need some working hours and working years to figure out and find out what it is, what is you.
That was Boris Werner's advice. Like, you need hours behind the decks. You can be there, but like, to really understand DJing, you need to have the hours. Maybe we have to put the hours, and everybody can sing, but like, to play the record, to understand the loops, it's just hours. Yeah. It really is.
I feel like that's when, like, for example, a friend of mine, he was he told me they did a party in I don't remember the venue, I think it was Cockburn, I'm not sure, but a venue in Berlin, and then they went straight up to Club de Listener, and all of a sudden, like, Thomas Station pulls up with Sean Reeves, and I don't remember who else, and he told me, like, bro, like, I felt I could play vinyl until I saw Sean Reeves pop up to Club de Listener and don't even touch the records and just go, like, on the RPMs and the pitch, and like put in the tracks in like 15 seconds, like this. It was like, I was just like,
that's hours.
It's hours.
You can have a feeling for it.
Yeah, and like you said, like, with parties as well. Like, it's hours of putting, like, planning the parties, programming the parties, doing the parties. Like, just I feel like it's never gonna, like, when you see something that just popped off, it hasn't really popped off just yet. It's just right now there's a lot of people paying attention to it, but it's been building like for a long time.
It's the tip of the iceberg, only you see.
So would you say that, like, patience is something that, like, people could use more in this industry, like, especially the newer generations?
It depends on where you want to go. It depends on what's your goal. Like, if you want to go, live a fast life, you can also work. You can do that as well. I think if you're a good promoter, you don't have to be put in all the work. But if you want to create your own sound and know what you want, then you need time to explore yourself. Like,
and also the motivation and the reasons behind it needs to be straight.
Exactly.
If you go into it just with the purpose of, I want to make a hit, or I want to make money, or I want to be cool, or I want to be, that's not the right reasons.
Yeah.
What are your real reasons? What is your why? Why are you doing it? What is behind it? You need to ask yourself the question. Is that a real answer, or is that?
And I think for house music to being real, since the 90s being the real, like the real house music from the Geminis and the Omar S and Von Atkins, that culture is always gonna, it's the honest one, honest and humble one. Like, I think in the end it's always about love, the love of house. It can never be love of anything else.
It has to come out of the love,
It's like, I mean, it's where it comes from, right? Like, like with Frankie Knuckles playing all this stuff. and like sort of like playing for the queer and like non-white communities
I
at
think
the
this
time.
is a start. A lot of people don't even know that start, you know?
Exactly.
You should know where house music is coming from
Yeah.
before you sell it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's an important
Yeah,
thing.
do your homework.
Yeah.
Check the history.
And there's like, you don't even have to read a huge book. Like there's amazing fucking articles by DJ Mag makes like that condense everything into like a 15-minute read.
There's a beautiful documentary from the BBC about the start of house music, actually.
There's one about Daft Punk that it's insane. Like, cause you know what it taught me? Like, I always like used to shit on like David Guetta and all these EDM DJs.
No, but he was the guy, man. He
but-
used to be the guy, yeah.
And like I really didn't, you know, like EDM. Oh, at some point I did, but then that's how you get like into this electronic sounds.
That's what's the way through. Like we went from hip hop to garage to. It wasn't EDM. What was it called back then when Chucky was playing sneakers? That stuff. It's not even Jack in House. I think it wasn't. It was pre-EDM-ish.
Is it like EDM? And then like
EDM-ish.
you know like that documentary like taught me a lot, man. Like first of all, like, you know, Daft Punk, how in my opinion they created the perfect separation between the person and the artist.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
like you don't really care about who Guy Manuel and Thomas are, like, because you might not even know how they look, but you care about the androids and what they've done and like how they've inspired a lot of things. And you know, like how, you know, when people say like, oh, EDM did that, whatever, like at the end of the day, like David Guetta and all these boys are what literally put electronic music like into like the masses. Because if you hear right now, like modern trap, even reggaeton, like there's a lot of electronic sounds into it.
Yeah, but the hip hop now is like it's a lot of samples from Kashmir and stuff in and all this stuff. That's funny though. But it was fancy this way, but like it's made from samples and now it's being sampled. It's like it's just like hip hop, I guess. Though.
It is, and I feel like there's gonna be trends in that. And you know, like I said, like right now there's like this massive trend for edits, or like this massive trend to put reggaeton into it. And I think it's nice if it's done like with the right reasons, like to create something new, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like instead of like just grabbing a Bad Bunny track and putting the vocals on top of it, like why don't you link up with a producer from reggaeton and see what you can create together, like, you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean it's exciting times. We're about to go to ADE. I want to thank you both a lot for your time. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Is there anything you would like to tell to the people? Definitely not come to the ADE parties because it's gonna be after that. So
Party smart.
Stay hydrated, take care of each other.
And party smart.
Party smart.
thank you all. See you next
you.
week.